I don't pay rent anymore. 31 years ago, my husband and I signed the last bottle of wine that had been sitting in the cupboard since our wedding. We thought that was it. We thought we'd made it to the side. Nobody tells you there's a bill waiting on the other side that doesn't care whether your mortgage is paid off. It doesn't care that you're on a fixed income. It just arrives every year, a little bigger than the year before. I'm talking about my property tax bill.
Hello, my dears. If you're new here, welcome to The Quiet Pensioner. I'm Marguerite, and this is where I talk honestly about the parts of getting older that nobody puts on a greeting card, money worries included. If you've been with me a while, you already know I don't sugarcoat things, but I don't like to frighten anyone either. So today's video is somewhere in between. A bill that genuinely keeps me up at night, and what I've been doing about it. Stay to the end, because I want to ask you something. When I was working, a rising bill was an inconvenience. You'd grumble, adjust, move on. There was always next month's paycheck to catch it. Now, there isn't a next month's paycheck. There's a pension that goes up, if I'm lucky, by whatever cost of living adjustment gets announced, and a property tax bill that seems to go up regardless of luck at all. Rent, I understand. Rent is a choice in a strange way. You can move, downsize, negotiate. But this house, this is where I raised 2 children, where my husband's ashes went into the garden bed by the fence. You can't downsize away from 30 years of a life. And yet, every autumn, an envelope arrives that quietly asks, "Are you sure you can still afford to live here?" That's the fear, not the number itself, the question behind the number. Let me explain why this particular bill frightens me more than almost anything else in my budget. With rent, if it gets too high, you know exactly what's coming, and you can plan your exit. With a mortgage, once it's paid, a fixed and finished thing. But property tax is neither fixed nor finished. It's tied to the assessed value of my home, and my neighborhood has changed. Young families have moved in, renovated, driven up home values on my street. Good for them. But my home's value on paper has climbed right along with theirs, even though my kitchen still has the same 1994 cabinets, and my income hasn't climbed anywhere at all. So I'm taxed on a number that has nothing to do with my ability to pay it. That's the trap so many of us are quietly taught in. Homeowners, mortgage-free, asset-rich on paper, and still lying awake doing arithmetic that doesn't work. I want to tell you about last November. The assessment notice came, and the number had jumped again. I sat with my tea going cold and did the maths 3 times, hoping I'd made an error. I hadn't. I thought about my friend Carol, 2 streets over, widowed like me. She sold her house last spring, not because she wanted to, but because the tax bill had crept past what her pension could absorb once you added heating, insurance, the ordinary costs of keeping a roof over your head. She moved into a rented flat across town. She told me, half laughing, half not, I traded my house for permission to keep living in it a little longer, somewhere smaller. That stayed with me, because it isn't really about the bill. It's about the quiet possibility that the home you paid for, the home you thought was finally, fully yours, might not be yours to keep if the number keeps climbing and your income doesn't. That is a particular kind of fear that only shows up later in life. Not the fear of not having enough for something new, the fear of losing something you already earned. Now, I'm not one for wringing my hands and doing nothing, so here is what I've actually done, in case it helps you too. First, I checked whether my area offers a senior or pensioner property tax relief or deferral program. Many places do, and most people never apply because they don't know to ask. Mine offers a modest reduction for homeowners over 65 with income under a certain threshold. It wasn't dramatic, but it mattered. Second, I requested a reassessment. Assessed value isn't gospel, it's an estimate, and estimates can be appealed. I gathered a few comparable sale prices from smaller, older homes like mine, and I made my case. It knocked the number down slightly. Third, and this was harder to admit, I started having honest conversations with my children about what happens if 1 year the number wins. Not because I expect it to, but because fear shrinks when you say it out loud to people who love you, instead of carrying it alone at a kitchen table. I think what frightens me isn't really the arithmetic. It's the loneliness of the arithmetic. Rent, at least, is a number you can shop around. This bill just shows up, addressed only to me, and expects an answer. But I've come to believe that fear loses some of its grip the moment you stop facing it in silence. That's part of why I started this channel, if I'm honest. Not to complain into a camera, but because I suspect there are a great many of you sitting at your own kitchen tables, doing your own quiet arithmetic, assuming you're the only one. You are not the only one. If there's one thing I'd ask you to take from today, it's this. Look into whatever relief programs exist where you live. Ask the question you feel embarrassed to ask. Don't assume the number on that envelope is final. In many places, it isn't. And if you're sitting with a bill of your own that frightens you more than it probably should to admit to anyone, tell someone, a friend, a child, even the comments below. I read every one of them. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely love to know the answer. What's the bill that frightens you more than it probably should? Is it property tax like mine? Heating? Medication? Insurance? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I suspect a lot of us are worrying about the same things in silence. And if this video felt like it was speaking to you, do me a small kindness. Subscribe to The Quiet Pensioner. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means these conversations reach the next person sitting alone at their own kitchen table, doing the same quiet arithmetic. Every subscriber tells me it's worth keeping this channel going. I'll see you next week. Same kitchen table, probably the same tea, gone cold again.